yesterday. So one way, in the interest of time, could be that we read through this, and whenever there is one bullet point, there are 8 bullet points in total that resonates with you, you can form a group, and someone who feels I want to support this can go and already start working on the actions to achieve this. Does this make sense? So we would review the summary that we created yesterday to build on the work that was done yesterday. If something resonates with you, you can already start a group by making yourself visible and think about the actions needed to do it. And 1 or 2 other people can join you so that you are stronger together. And that would take a little bit down the time we need to deliberate, and it would allow us to go immediately into action planning. Sounds good? Yeah? Can I see a raise of hand in a democracy? When...
Yes.
So, and those who want to go with the other version, they can come up here and read the mission statements in more detail. So one was RISE will be a catalyst epicenter network. We had different terms that involves all stakeholders, including community members, and has funding to support community members' participation. We have already one person who works on this.
I just wanted to talk about, I wanted to be part of the group. Isn't that why we're raising hands? I was just saying I want to be part of that group. Is that, just to clarify, that's why we're raising our hands, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you get to read all of them out loud first.
Okay, sounds good.
You don't even know the next slide.
Creation and translation of research on all disaster management phases. So that was about conducting research with communities, translating research results, and considering all phases of disaster management: preparedness, response, recovery, and reconstruction. The third one was similar to this, sharing, exchanging information among all stakeholders, and building the database where we collect the currently fragmented data, we coordinate data collection processes, we create an inventory, and we curate the data so that it's accessible for people who need it. A third element was how can we co-create solutions that are unique to the local context. And in doing this co-creation process, empowering communities to implement solutions to build or improve resilient communities. And this would also include equity in all levels of the co-creation process. And at the end, by going through these 4 points, RISE should have measurable outcomes and shareable success stories. So that was the summary of mission statements. And then for the themes, there was a call for shifts from theory to practice, from what-if scenarios to concrete ideas, small projects, from the current status quo that's characterized through silos and regular networks to novel beyond web networks where collaboration is much more integrated, and from fragmented research to transdisciplinary holistic research with communities. These shifts also imply the creation of platforms to work with communities and the ability to mitigate power dynamics, as I said, between universities and communities. And that we focus on the pre-disaster preparedness as it relates to applying IRB protocols, fostering innovation, solidarity, workforce development. And that supporting preparedness should help limit the negative effects that come when infrastructures break down. And this group spoke about IT infrastructure and social networks in an effort to foster social resilience and alternatives to capitalistic and economic models.
Good.
And
Could you mention what IRB is?
IRB is the Institutional Review Board, and it's kind of a placeholder for determining the ethical steps and considerations that need to be taken into consideration by researchers when they work with what the IRB calls human subjects, community members who are in a state of high vulnerability and need extra protection. And so this IRB protocol makes sure that when researchers conduct research with people, that they take all the necessary ethical precautionary measures. And then the last point was a call to carefully assess whether universities are really ready to engage in post-disaster response and relief, and whether they reflect on whether their semester structure really allows them to engage in those response and relief efforts. And that also entailed the inventory of the assets that universities have. Because if we know what courses and skills the universities have and train students for, students can be much better allocated to an area where these skills and assets are needed.
Could you go back up to the missions? So there's 5 ideas there?
I had a comment. As I'm reading the first and the fourth, they look alike. The first and the fourth, involving all stakeholders, including community members. And the fourth is empower communities to implement solutions to build and improve resilient communities. They seem to be aligned.
Any comments on that idea? Would that represent a proposal to combine 1 and 4?
Yeah, so I just think that if those are two are divided, they might come up with similar
Actions, okay.
Sorry, the slide just went
Oh,
I just wanted to already make that edit, sorry.
No, I mean, maybe I agree on that before.
okay.
So I think we have to understand the scope. Is it empowerment, where we're communicating and providing resources, or is this an integrated effort with the community?
I think that's up to your group to decide. We can't answer that question.
Okay, so the group. So is it an integrated effort?
Yeah.
Or is this more about empowerment? Because those are different things, and they're going to require different stakeholders and approaches and methodologies. And so I think that's an important distinction. And on the last slide, just since I have the balance of time, the last 2 statements are really assumptions that need to be validated before we even get to a mission statement. Because if those things can't be done, then it's not really, it's not possible to achieve something if we don't know the current environment, if we don't understand the situation. So are universities ready to engage? I would assume they are. We're all here. Again, if that's a valid assumption, then we'll just be in agreement. And then as far as the semester structure, I can't answer that, but to me, those aren't themes. Those are assumptions that need to be either valid or invalidated that are ultimately going to shape what our objectives are and the tasks that we'll look to achieve our mission.
I want to add to that too. The last 2 seem like they're the decisions that need to be made by the university cohort versus the practitioners and research cohort. And so it seems like there's overlap
Might I
there.
also add, because that didn't really come out as a theme, those were just questions we were asking ourselves as we formulated the mission statement. As we formulated the mission statement saying universities integrated into preparedness, into disaster preparedness, response and recovery. And as we were exploring that, we asked the question, does the university structure allow us to engage in response?
I
So
think
that
this,
didn't really come out, that was just a probing question we were kind of asking ourselves as we were exploring the
So
mission statement.
this is a really good conversation because it also, at least in my view, I think it's a good place to say, here's what we understand, correct me if you guys think of it, here's what we understand that Marla and Cecilia are going to do with this material, right? They're going to take it from all the groups, they're going to look at it, they're going to think about it, they're going to bring in their colleagues in the steering committee, they're going to think about what are the themes. And so we can very easily send this through as to questions, right? This group says, this is all well and good, but here are 2 really important questions that have to be put on the table. And so I think those kinds of ideas about what assumptions are we making, that's I think very much a value add to this process, because we'll put those forward to them as questions. You, and then I think.
Right, so I think as a group, if we agree, we should all agree on a certain set of parameters and a scope and a set of assumptions that we believe in today, even if it's not necessarily true or they don't necessarily go forward, so that the conversation is bounded. within a specific context.
So, I think there was a question here, and then,
It wasn't a question, I think
A
it was
comment.
to your first point about the question of integration versus empowerment in the community. I mean, I think it's up for discussion, but I think it needs to be both, right? So any kind of initiative or collaboration with a community will not happen in perpetuity. And so in order to first have meaningful collaboration with a community, you should have integration with that community, understand them, work with them. At the end of the day, they should feel that whatever is the result of the project, can be very loose, but project, they need to have the tool set in their capacity to own and engage and actually be able to move that forward. Otherwise, it'll just be dead on its feet. So I think I do think to your point that it can be combined and we can focus on how you actually transition and what are the tactics to start with better integration with communities. And then to me, the hardest thing is always the transition between the integration and then the empowerment and moving out in a way that's respectful.
okay, so we got a comment back here. So right now, what we're trying to do is figure out how to move the conversation forward, right?
Yeah.
So Liz has a comment, Yvonne, and then we have one in the back, and then we're gonna get to a decision point.
Okay, and I was just going to make a proposal that for this last bullet point, that we reframe the phrasing there to think about this as a potential theme within the mission to identify and advocate for ways in which universities can transform or change to become more ready to engage, and what does that transformation look like. So I was just going to suggest that we possibly want to keep it as a theme within the statement of our mission or goals, or for what RISE could be, but think of it more, those are potentially an area where the network could.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, I agree to the part of combining them, and to your point that maybe some of these are more university policies than RISE. But for example, the IRB is something that has to be fast-tracked, and it has to be designed in such a way that it's already there for vulnerable populations. And that is something that RISE can do, to create that platform of what should the IRB application should like for cases of natural disasters. So it would not be so much as policy from the university, but each one of us would have to apply that. So, I mean, the rest I understand that it will depend a lot on the universities, but I mean, we can foster workforce development. We can create a platform to share all the information that can be implemented by teachers, by college professors, either as a module or in your classrooms as a course or whatever it is, but just to provide the information, and then each one of us applies it as we see fit and as our institutions allow.
Okay, we have one more comment back here. And
Sure,
then,
my suggestion for moving this forward, so I think it's focused on the IRB is more a question of process rather than the mission. I think if we agree with the assumption that we are going to engage in credible research that applies standards for carrying out that research, then IRB approval is a given. If it's human subjects research, it's going to have IRB approval. That is just a process that I don't think gets into the mission statement. I do think, however, that we did have agreement, and the room can correct me if I'm wrong, that integration is a core component of what we see RISE doing. Do we have agreement in the room?
Yeah.
So then may I suggest that those who want to focus on action statements for integration move forward with that? I think that was a theme that came across.
so we have catalyst from that first. Can you go back to that? No, there. Okay, so that there was one suggestion that we have the first and the fourth combined. It's sort of catalyst and co-creation. Is that sufficiently different from integration?
A catalyst is something that spurs.
right?
That moves something, you know, is that?
So is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so other idea, because that's two groups, one on integration, one on catalyst and co-creation. So we're getting somewhere. You back there, you've been waiting.
Can I ask
Go
a
ahead,
quick
and then
question?
Chris.
This is probably something I should have asked yesterday. Are the statements we're trying to make here, are these normative or are these reality? Because we have all these things running stakeholder. This whole conference, there's been very little talk stakeholder. Very little stakeholder interactions, whole deal. It's all been this very much what we as researchers. So if we want stakeholders, that becomes a very normative idea of what we aspire to. So is this an aspirational statement or is this a reality statement? And this goes to everyone.
What do you think?
Because that will help base on how we move forward on this. And
Because we're down
really
to
in a
45
logjam.
minutes.
So on that point, I totally agree with you, and let's be honest, we don't have all the stakeholders in this room, so a potential action would be, if we want to have stakeholders, we propose actions that would bring those stakeholders in our group.
So that's the question, do we
So
want to have
there's
this,
another
what we
thing.
aspire to be or what we are?
I think it's aspirational.
I believe it's aspirational.
And if stakeholder is a core theme that we agree that needs to be there, then there's another group with some action statements regarding stakeholders.
All right, so we have three organized conversations. Go ahead.
I think the last item should not be a standalone topic, rather each other standing group should have outcomes that are measurable.
Okay. All right, so that means we have two conversations, catalyst, co-creation, and integration. Is that okay with you? Yes, no, Teresa, yeah?
What do we mean by integration?
Your colleague over here, did you have a comment?
I can
Same thing, okay. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by integration?
What we mean by integration, and I think that the mission statement was the catalyst to integrate universities in evidence-based disaster preparedness, response, and recovery. And that means for us, that meant being a core part, that we don't stand on the outside, that we're involved with that, working in partnership, integrated with the community in order to serve as a catalyst to help support those efforts.
Okay, right here, and then right there.
I have a concern. I didn't participate in the meetings yesterday, but my concern is regarding leadership development. Somebody said a little bit about a few minutes ago that this prize cannot give follow-up at perpetuity to the initiatives. So you have to depend then in strong leadership development in the communities to establish a permanent infrastructure, or what is in that way, so that you can maintain certain links with the communities, but when you train and give this kind of support, and you establish local leaders, and then the local leaders are going to be responsible for most of the work. And then you monitor the development, no? But you have to make communities sustainable by themselves. So it's very important to develop a very strong leadership program, to identify those people in the community that can...
So that's an action that you're proposing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are gonna go next, and we have to make a decision in 2 minutes, right? One proposal is get back in your original groups and make your own choice, integration, catalyst, co-creation, or stick with your original product, mission statement, or we as a group, a full group, start making a brainstorm list of actions. And we have to do one or the other.
It's a question is, I feel like I've been part of groups like this, and like what RISE is trying to accomplish, and so are we in alignment with other initiatives, or are we trying to create an entire new initiative within its own box? So I would hope to think that we're more in the alignment category to trying to figure out how we harmonize or couple with existing efforts.
So that's a really good point. In the planning of the panel that I was part of last night, one of the things that the group there talked about that was very, very critical was to not use the language that implied that we were creating something completely new, but that in fact, it was about connecting existing capabilities, networks, so networks of networks. So that's why I really like the integration, because integration is not necessarily creation, it's pull all the pieces and put them together in new ways.
Okay.
So that's what, we didn't want to offend people by saying, we're here to create the network, right? The network exists, lots of networks
Sure.
exist. So that was.
Yeah, the word create was used probably 6 or 7 times, so I'm with you.
Okay, right, I'm gonna do a show of hands. You guys,
No, I was gonna say, I prefer going with the group and not like fragmenting again.
okay, all right, you don't have,
I'm not talking about that, just to be consistent about the language. When we say we're not creating anything, can you go to the mission statement that you mentioned? We are saying co-create, and we call it co-design instead of, no, we're not creating anything.
okay,
So we are designing maybe, or co-designing with community. If we are not creating anything, so to be consistent with the language.
so if we're gonna do, facilitators,
Yep.
you okay with this? Okay. So, what I think we're gonna do then is we're gonna start recording, right? We're gonna do a large group discussion, we're gonna start recording the discussion, and, what's that?
Do you have IRB for that?
That's right, I'm sorry, are you vulnerable here today?
You never know.
When I used to come to this place, I didn't buy
What about the mind?
Okay, one more and then we gotta start going.
No, okay, this is just before I forget, I mean, about the IRB, I was talking with Cecilio about IRBs from communities to researchers, so that's something to think about also, how communities learn to protect themselves from researchers. I'm just gonna put it up.
Okay, all right, so there's too many people here to do a round robin. So what I'm gonna suggest that we do is you take 1 minute, quietly and think of an action that you wanna propose to your colleagues, and we're gonna do lightning talks, right? And if you can convince your colleagues that that's an action that you need, that you think we should put on our list of actions, because tomorrow we have to come up with indicators for the success of those actions, right? So spend 1 minute, think about the action that you want to propose to your colleagues. We're here to take notes and to move us forward, and we won't have to do a report out because we're doing it. Right. So you're making the argument to your colleagues, not to us. 1 minute. Not everybody has to make a proposal, but we would like everybody to engage in the discussion about the proposed actions. Okay, 1 minute.
So I can't.
Yes,
This is very So what that does is it provides access for the university to understand. Yeah, so research institutes of the university still come to the local university or any other community that is in every community. It's the collection of also there's healthcare coalition, which are compilation of hospitals, Department of Health, all the major players, healthcare facilities. So what that does is helps the individual understand what is needed as far as emergency management and disaster resilience. Also gives the players in those committees access to this university, understand what they're doing.
Part of data.
Organizations that are very formal. Right. My opinion, you cannot right. It's got to be more vast than that.
Got one, who's number two? Oh, yeah. Awesome, all right. So I'm gonna ask you procedurally, stand up, talking to your colleagues. What we're gonna do is audio tape. You got an audio tape?
What I mean is formal.
Go ahead, please.
You want to use your phone to do the audio?
You want to get really technical? Remember yesterday's technique? Oh, microphone would be best. If I get close, you're talking too long, please stop. Flip it around so you can talk everything.
Or just take it off.
Right. Okay, please give your colleague your attention.
Okay, I'm actually going to, they're working? Okay. So this idea was communicated to me by my boss, Dr. Chris Delia. Some of you may know him. He is envisioning, and it's something that I'm kind of starting to develop myself right now. Kind of similar to the public health service, something, a core of scientists that receive training to be able to be deployed as a point person after a disaster event. And the way that I am kind of envisioning this myself is to create some sort of RISE fellows, which could be divided by discipline, or by region, or by type of disaster, if it's like a hurricane, a fire, or a flood, or whatever. And that RISE fellow would be trained into things like ethical engagement with communities, promoting technology transfer and leadership for continuity, getting IRB approval, and curating a network of colleagues that are experts in the domain area. And so when a disaster strikes, RISE has a series of RISE fellows that already have the training, and that could be the contact person to instruct other people to be able to be more capable of answering after a disaster as it's happening to the community with all the right training and things in place. So that's my proposal, and thank you. Rebecca de Jesus Crespo, LSU, and Chris Delia, LSU too.
Thank you. I'll take that. Great. All right. A couple of quick comments. Does anybody want to comment, or are we going to just go forward?
Just second the idea.
Second the idea? Oh, are we seconding the idea?
Yeah, no, six wanted to build on it.
Okay.
Six wanted to build on that idea.
Okay. All right, here's what we're going to have to do. If you want a friendly amendment to that, you've got to stand up. Because otherwise, it's hard to distinguish what you're saying. All right. So, did you have a friendly amendment?
Friendly
I have a proposal,
Okay, we'll come back to you. Who has a friendly amendment?
I would just add in addition to colleagues, resources,
All right,
information sources.
is this working at all?
You have to hold it really close.
It makes me look, you know, like I know. Yeah, really close, really close.
So I really like the, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Friendly amendment, so definitely when disaster strikes to deploy the RISE fellows, but also in preparation, having the RISE fellows, training community members in, preparedness plans, how do we treat water, how do we get some emergency solar running, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to just,
Right, here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. Okay. Say thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Right? Amendment, friendly amendment?
I just agree with the colleague that across mentioned. Could we add something instead of saying to respond, that can respond in the disaster, can we say in preparedness for the disaster? So RISE will be always present, working there with communities in order to learn from communities also.
Cool,
Okay?
she's got it. Friendly amendments?
Yeah,
Good idea.
Friendly amendments?
Keeping with our internationalization theme, we believe that we should identify through tertiary education institutions persons already on vulnerable, just like he's saying, but.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right. Friendly amendment?
Yes, Rhode Island, we did something similar with this called Scientific Support for Emergency Response. It's something that I can provide some info in from that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay. You've got an idea? Okay. Friendly amendment, I can ask you. So anybody who's got an idea, we're gonna line up here. Friendly amendment.
Yeah.
Make it short.
If I get the chance to speak, I will. I think the key thing also, just to add to everything, would be that the RISE fellow, or whatever that is, can start to connect the researchers or the project before it starts to community experts who could do sensitivity cultural training, which I think is a critical part that is not always available. And even if you are from a place, if you have not lived there in a long time, you are still an other person that has to come in. I think that is a critical point and a critical network tie that the RISE fellow or RISE can actually take on.
Very cool. All right, you gotta get very close to the microphone.
Hello, everybody.
Really close.
This, as I already mentioned, develop a strong leadership program for communities. And also strengthen the resiliency of communities through education and training of the residents for disaster preparedness and response, and promote initiatives to improve and maintain communities' basic infrastructure in a sustainable way. That is critical to recover from disasters.
Comments?
I think she missed
I missed the beginning.
the first one.
Oh, we missed the beginning. Can you repeat the beginning?
Okay. The first one has to be with leadership. And if we want to this program initiative from RISE to be sustainable, we have to begin developing a strong leadership program for communities so that leaders, community leaders, then are going to do the